All right, let's dive into one of the biggest shifts happening in the workplace right now: AI agents. Over the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what they are, see how they're already shaking things up, and yeah, even walk through how you can build one yourself. Okay, just for a second, think about your workday. I mean, how much of it is spent on those, you know, necessary but really repetitive tasks? Updating the same old spreadsheet, sending out that weekly report, digging through a mountain of files for just one little piece of information. What if you could just hand all of that off to someone or something else? Well, that's exactly the problem AI agents are built to solve. You can just think of them as the ultimate solution to busy work. They're designed to clear your plate so you can finally focus on the stuff that actually requires your brain power, your expertise. So what is an AI agent really? At its heart, it's kind of like a digital teammate or a super efficient personal assistant. It's an AI tool that actually understands plain English. So you can just tell it what to do and boom, it goes and does it. And here's the really important part. It works with your company's data. That's what makes it a genuinely integrated and context-aware part of your team. Okay, so these agents come in a few different flavors. First up, you've got what are called retrieval agents. Imagine you need an answer that's buried like deep inside some company documents. Instead of you spending hours digging around, you just ask the agent. It dives right in, finds what you need, pulls it all together, and gives you a clear, sourced answer. It's basically your own personal research expert on call 24/7. Next up, building on that idea, we have task agents. These guys are all about automating those multi-step, repetitive workflows. Like generating the weekly sales report and then emailing it to the whole team. A task agent can handle that every single week without you even having to think about it. This is where you really start to feel that weight of manual work just lift off your shoulders. And finally, we get to the most advanced type, autonomous agents. This is where things get really interesting. You give these agents a big picture goal, something like, hey, plan the marketing launch for our new product, and they just go. They work independently to achieve it, adjusting their plans as they go. They're kind of like a project manager who only bothers you when they hit a wall they can't get around themselves. It's a serious glimpse into the future of delegation. Okay, so that's all the theory. But how are companies actually using these agents out there in the real world? Let's take a look at some examples and see the value they're delivering right now. I mean, we're seeing businesses use these agents to tackle some massive challenges. They're cranking up efficiency by automating all those tedious back office tasks. They're totally transforming customer service with instant, smart support. They're even supercharging data analysis, finding trends a human might just miss. And yeah, they're even being used for stuff like risk management, where they're constantly on the lookout for compliance issues in real time. Just look at this example from the bank ABN AMRO. They built a customer service agent using Microsoft's Copilot Studio. And we're not talking about some simple FAQ bot here. This thing handles real banking tasks like unblocking a customer's debit card. You can imagine how much this frees up their human agents to deal with more complex problems, and it just slashes customer wait times. And believe me, this is not some niche tech for early adopters. Check out this stat. Nearly 70% of Fortune 500 companies are already using tools like Microsoft 365 Copilot for these exact kinds of tasks. That is a massive vote of confidence. It tells you that agents are fast becoming a standard part of how modern businesses operate. Okay, so you've seen what they are and you've seen why they're so useful. Now for the really fun part. How do you actually build one? Let's walk through a simple step-by-step blueprint to create your very first agent. And you know what? The process is probably more straightforward than you think. It all starts with a clear purpose. What specific, annoying, repetitive problem is this agent going to solve? Then you pick your tools. A framework like Microsoft Copilot Studio makes this whole thing way more accessible. Step 3 is super important: getting your data ready. This just means making sure your documents are formatted nicely and your spreadsheets have clean, consistent columns so the AI can actually make sense of them. After that, you build and test the agent's logic, plug it into your existing systems, and, of course, train your team on how to use it. And one last thing. It's not a set it and forget it deal. You'll want to keep an eye on how it's doing and tweak it over time to make it even smarter. All right, before we finish up, let's just quickly tackle some of the most common questions people have when they're first dipping their toes into this. Think of it as your quick start FAQ. So a really big question is, do you use a pre-built framework or do you start from scratch? Honestly, for most people and most companies, using a framework is the smart move. It's just faster, it comes with a ton of features already built in, and it handles a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Now, building from scratch gives you total customization, but it requires some serious technical expertise and a much, much longer timeline. And this is probably the number one question on everyone's mind. Do I need to be a coder? Do I need a background in software development to actually build one of these things? And the answer, thankfully, is a big no, not anymore. The rise of these so-called low-code or no-code platforms, like Copilot Studio, has been a complete game changer. They use visual drag-and-drop interfaces, so you don't have to write a single line of code. This puts the power to build these agents right into the hands of the business experts. You know, the people who actually know the processes that need fixing in the first place. Okay, let's talk timelines. If you decide to jump in, how long does it actually take to get a working agent up and running? Well, it really depends on how complex you want to get. A simple retrieval agent, one that just answers questions from a single document, you could probably build that in a few days. But a more complex task agent that has to connect with a bunch of different systems, that might take several weeks or even longer. The key really is to start simple and then build on your success. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just pull back for a second and look at the big picture. What's the ultimate goal here? Why are we even bringing AI agents into our work lives? And this is maybe the most important thing to remember. AI agents aren't about replacing people. They're about augmenting them. By taking over all those repetitive, time-sucking tasks, they free us up to focus on the stuff that we humans are actually good at: creativity, strategic thinking, and solving complex problems. And that is the work that really pushes things forward. So I'll leave you with this one question to chew on. If you had an AI agent sitting on your desktop right now, what is the very first repetitive task you would give it? Seriously, think about it. The answer to that question might just be your first step toward completely reshaping the way you work. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.